Graduates and faculty, please make your way to your seats on the field. Thank you. Congratulations, graduates. Welcome to the 2020 and 2021 Doctoral Hooding Ceremony. Provost Gonzalez, Acting Dean DeMarco, I present to you candidates for the degrees of Master of Fine Arts, Doctor of Nursing Practice, Doctor of Audiology, Doctor of Education, Doctor of Philosophy from the University of Louisville's graduating class of spring, summer, fall of 2020 and spring of 2021. Please be seated. Please be seated. Yes. I am honored to present to you Dr. Paul DeMarco, Acting Dean of the Graduate School and Vice Provost for Graduate Affairs.
Thank you, Dr. Martis. I want to join Provost Gonzalez and the deans in welcoming you, our graduates, your mentors, your families, and your friends to this very special doctoral hooding and graduation ceremony. We're here to celebrate your success, the attainment of the pinnacles of education, which are the terminal degrees in your respective disciplines, either the doctoral degree or the Master of Fine Arts. We know it's been a challenging yet exciting journey to this day, and there have probably been some ups and downs and maybe even temporary roadblocks. I know you've all navigated the drastic measures we've taken this year to safely cope with the pandemic, and for some of you, the pandemic may have even interfered with your progress toward finishing your dissertation or your thesis. At times, you may have questioned whether you wanted to stick with it, but you did. So we're here now to celebrate your accomplishment, and I want to say how proud we are of you. And we're particularly happy that we were able to invite back our 2020 graduates to participate in this May's commencement ceremonies. As students who've earned a terminal degree in your field, you are now experts in your disciplines, and you have advanced human knowledge and thought through your scholarship. Your work has been critiqued, debated, scrutinized, and it's passed the litmus test of rigor as measured by your mentors and your committee members. The faculty's endorsement of your hard work has opened a gateway for you to enter a select community of scholars, and we recognize your investiture into that community here today by the symbolic act of bestowing upon you the graduation hood by your faculty mentor, which will happen here shortly. All of you have been shaped by your experiences in graduate school. Especially over the past year, you've learned to be nimble and adjust to new ways of teaching or carrying out your scholarship. The essential skills you've acquired during your time in graduate school, skills like persistence, flexibility, collaboration, and critical thinking, are transportable skills, and they will serve you well in any career or life venture that you pursue. Let me finish by saying I hope you feel strongly you made the right choice in picking the University of Louisville for your graduate education, and I know that the university is a better place because of your presence. We are grateful for you. You've enriched our community by sharing your insights, your ideas, your creativity, your customs, and your cultures with us. And as we are grateful for you, I also ask that you express your gratitude to the family, friends, faculty, and staff who formed the support networks that sustained you when in graduate school. We're proud to have you as our newest alumni, and on behalf of the university community, I congratulate you. Thank you. Normally, we would confer degrees after all students have been hooded, but because we're asking students and mentors to exit the stadium after being hooded for safety purposes, we will have the ceremonial conferral of degrees at this point in our ceremony. So I would now like to introduce Provost Lori Gonzalez to confer degrees.
Will all the degree candidates please stand? On behalf of President Ben DePuty and the Board of Trustees of the University of Louisville, I'm honored to grant each of you the degree of Master's of Fine Arts, Doctor of Nursing Practice, Doctor of Audiology, Doctor of Education, or Doctor of Philosophy in your respected disciplines, based on the recommendations of the faculties of the colleges and schools in the university. Congratulations, graduates.
Thank you, Provost Gonzalez. You may be seated. I have a few housekeeping announcements before we start calling students up. First, students, please bring your name card with you as you walk up to the stage so we can scan it to display your name on the monitors. After you pose for the hooding ceremony here at the front of the stage, you will exit the stage and have another opportunity for a photo as you leave through the edge of the stadium there. After that photo, we ask that you, your mentor, and your guests please exit the stadium to minimize the density of people that will be leaving the event at any one time. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Barbara Clark, Associate Dean of the Graduate School, who will announce some very special awards to students and faculty, and then our candidates for the degrees of Master of Fine Arts, Doctor of Nursing Practice, Doctor of Audiology, Doctor of Education, and Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dean DeMarco. I would first like to introduce the recipients of some special awards that are conferred by the Graduate School. The biographies extolling the accomplishments of each of our honorees are posted on the Graduate School's website for you to read. The Guy Stevenson Award for Excellence in Graduate Studies honors a former graduate dean. The Stevenson Award recognizes an outstanding doctoral degree recipient who has demonstrated excellence in both scholarship and leadership within the discipline and has made contributions to either teaching or service. We are very pleased to recognize 3 recipients of the Stevenson Award. I encourage everyone to visit the Graduate School website and listen to the recorded, inspiring speeches given by all these awardees. The Spring 2021 Stevenson Awardee is Nicole Claire Jackson. Claire earns today a Doctor of Philosophy in English, Rhetoric, and Composition. Claire is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Andrea Ollinger, and by Dr. David Owens, Interim Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences. Claire is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. The Fall 2020 Stevenson Awardee is Jamie Lynn Young. Jamie received a Doctor of Philosophy in Pharmacology and Toxicology. Jamie is joined today by faculty mentor, Professor Lou Kai, and by Dr. Russell Salter, Associate Dean of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies in the School of Medicine. Jamie is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. The Spring 2020 Stevenson Awardee is Dylan MacGregor Johnson. Dylan received a Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Dylan is joined today by faculty mentor, Professor Igor Lukashevitz, and by Dr. Russell Salter, Associate Dean of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies in the School of Medicine. Dylan is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. The John Binford Memorial Award honors a former chairman of the Department of Psychology. The award is presented to a doctoral degree recipient who excels in scholarship and has contributed to other areas within the discipline, such as leadership, teaching, or service. Jill Marie Randall is the Spring 2021 recipient of the Binford Award. Jill earns today a Doctor of Philosophy in Social Work. Jill is joined today by faculty mentor, Professor Karen Kaiser, and Dr. David Jenkins, Dean of the Kent School of Social Work. Jill is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Irina Meralda Molina is the Spring 2020 recipient of the Binford Award. Irina received a Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Irina is joined today by faculty mentor, Professor Sylvia Uarte, and by Dr. Russell Salter, Associate Dean of the Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. Irina is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. The John M. Houchins Prize honors a former registrar of the university. The Houchins Prize is awarded to the doctoral student whose dissertation has potential for significant impact in their field. The Spring 2021 Houchins Prize winner is Ahmed Shefa. Ahmed earns today a Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science and Engineering. Ahmed's co-faculty mentors are Professor Amin Elbaz and Professor Adel El-Maghrabi. Ahmed is joined today by Dr. El-Maghrabi and by Dr. Emmanuel Collins, Dean of the J.B. Speed School of Engineering. Ahmed is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. The Virginia Jenny Madden Award for Graduate Student Leadership and Service is named in honor of Jenny Madden for her many years of service to the Graduate School, the Staff Senate, and the University of Louisville community. This award recognizes a master's degree recipient who exhibits leadership through service to the recipient's program, college, discipline, and the university as a whole and/or the community. The Spring 2021 Madden Award recipient is Daniel Thomas Monahan. Daniel earns today a Master's of Music and Performance. Daniel is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Stephen Mattingly. Daniel is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Faculty mentors are an integral part of a student's academic journey. The Graduate School is very pleased to present awards to recognize outstanding mentorship of both master's and doctoral students. The recipient of the Outstanding Faculty Mentor of Master's Students Awards is Dr. Lindsay Della. Dr. Della is an Associate Professor of Communications. Dr. Della is joined by Dr. David Owens, Interim Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. The recipient of the Spring 2021 Outstanding Faculty Mentor of Doctoral Students Award is Dr. Michael Menzie. Dr. Menzie is Associate Professor of Biology. Dr. Menzie is joined by Dr. David Owens, Interim Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. The recipient of the Spring 2020 Outstanding Faculty Mentor of Doctoral Students Award is Dr. Monica Wendell. Dr. Wendell is a professor of health promotion and behavioral sciences. Dr. Wendell is joined by Dr. Craig Blakely, Dean of the School of Public Health and Information Sciences. The Graduate School is also very pleased to recognize Dr. Li Hu Bai as this year's recipient of the Provost Award for Exemplary Director of Graduate Studies. Dr. Bai is an associate professor of industrial engineering. Dr. Bai is joined by Dr. Emmanuel Collins, Dean of the J.B. Speed School of Engineering. So this concludes our awards portion of the ceremony. I would now like to invite Dr. Emmanuel Collins, Dean of the J.B. Speed School of Engineering, to remain here to join in congratulating the students from his school as we begin the announcing of candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Joseph Patrick Bryan, Doctor of Philosophy in Chemical and Engineering. Joseph is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Vance Yeager. Omar Dekhill, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science and Engineering. Omar is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Adel El-Maghrabi. Christopher Wayne Reese, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science and Engineering. Christopher is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Adel El-Maghrabi. Mohammed Ahmed Abdel Saeed, Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science and Engineering. Mohammed is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Yunwan Park. Is Dr. Emmanuel Collins will join. Mina Shakari Ashzari, Doctor of Philosophy and Industrial Engineering. Mina is joined by co-faculty mentors, Professor Kevin Yu and Associate Professor Monica Gentili. Mohsen Mohammadi Dechesme, Doctor of Philosophy and Industrial Engineering. Mohsen is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Monica Gentili. Mohsen is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Walid Alim, Doctor of Philosophy and Mechanical Engineering. Walid is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Michael Vore. Nishnam Momanzada, Doctor of Philosophy and Mechanical Engineering. Nishnam is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Thomas Beerfield. Farishta Norbakht, Doctor of Philosophy and Civil Engineering. Farishta's faculty mentors Professor Arthur Parola. Farishta is joined today by Dean Emmanuel Collins. I would now like to invite Dr. Paul DeMarco, Acting Dean of the Graduate School, to remain here to join in congratulating the students from his school as we begin announcing candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. We'll ask Dr. Emmanuel Collins to come back on stage, and we have two more engineering students. Okay. So, Nicholas Hawkins, Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical and Computer Engineering. Nicholas is joined today by faculty mentor Michael McIntyre. Okay. We will now start with Dr. Paul DeMarco, congratulating his students in the School from the Interdisciplinary Studies. Theodora Stoika, Doctor of Philosophy and Interdisciplinary Studies, specialization in translational neurosciences. Theodora's faculty mentor is Associate Professor Brandon Pugh, joined today by Professor David Magnuson. Nathan Curtis Jones, Doctor of Philosophy and Interdisciplinary Studies. Nathan's co-faculty mentors are Associate Professor Robert Carini and Associate Professor Daniel Krebs. Nathan is joined today by Acting Dean Paul DeMarco. I would now like to invite Dr. Todd Meridian, Dean of the College of Business, to join in congratulating the students from his college as we announce the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Tommy Ray Welcher, Doctor of Philosophy and Entrepreneurship. Tommy is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Robert Garrett. I would now like to invite Dr. Sonia Harden, Dean of the School of Nursing, to join in congratulating the students from her school as we announce candidates for the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice and Doctor of Philosophy. Ruby M. Abersold, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Ruby is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Mary DeLetter. Tiffany Renee Slaughter Newcomb, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Tiffany's faculty mentor is Associate Professor Mary Beth Cody. Tiffany is joined today by Associate Professor Mary DeLetter. Apologies for that. Tiffany is not. Okay. I would now like to invite Dr. David Jenkins, Dean of the Kent School of Social Work, to join in congratulating students from his school as we announce candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Georgia Lynn Anderson, Doctor of Philosophy and Social Work. Georgia is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Karen Kaiser. Georgia is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Ariel Michelle Washington, Doctor of Philosophy and Social Work. Ariel is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Karen Kaiser. Jennifer Lynn Ballard Kang, Doctor of Philosophy and Social Work. Jennifer's faculty mentors Associate Professor Adrian Archuleta. Jennifer is joined today by Professor Andy Fry. Jennifer is the recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Verena Gray Schmidt, Doctor of Philosophy and Social Work. Verena's faculty mentors Associate Professor Leslie Harris. Verena is joined today by Professor Andy Fry. I would now like to invite Dr. Craig Blakely, Dean of the School of Public Health and Information Sciences, to join in congratulating students from his school as we announce candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Mary Elizabeth Gregg, Doctor of Philosophy and Biostatistics. Mary is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Doug Lorenz. Mary is the recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Chen Qian, Doctor of Philosophy and Biostatistics. Chen is joined by faculty mentor Professor Shesh Rai. Chen is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Tashura S.A. Ali, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Health Sciences. Tashura is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Kira Taylor. Tashura is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Stacy L. Conkle, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Health Sciences. Stacy's faculty mentor is Associate Professor Christina Zierhold. Stacy is joined today by Dr. Kira Taylor. Stacy is the recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Sir Deborah Ayanyeka, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Health Sciences. Sir is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Jelani Kerr. Caitlin E. McGraw, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Health Sciences. Caitlin is joined by faculty mentors Professor Aruni Bhatnagar. Caitlin is a recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Jack Anthony Pfeiffer, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Health Sciences. Jack is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Natalie Dupree. Whitney Thomas Rogers, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Health Sciences. Whitney is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Scott LaJoy. Whitney is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Zhang Vu, Doctor of Philosophy and Public Health Sciences. Zhang is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Bert Little. Zhang is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. I would now like to invite Dr. Russell Salter, Associate Dean for Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies in the School of Medicine, to join in congratulating students from his school as we announce candidates for the degree of Doctor of Audiology and Doctor of Philosophy. Amanda Lee Bartley, Doctor of Audiology. Amanda is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Laura Galloway. Kira Glashine, Doctor of Audiology. Kira's faculty mentor is Professor Jill Preminger. Kira is joined today by Associate Professor Dr. Laura Galloway. Beth Frances Rosen, Doctor of Audiology. Beth is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Laura Galloway. Marisa Christine Kuroza, Doctor of Audiology. Marisa is joined by co-faculty mentors, Professor Lindsay Cornell and Associate Professor Laura Galloway. Lauren Elizabeth Langen, Doctor of Audiology. Lauren is joined by co-faculty mentors, Associate Professor Lindsay Cornell and Associate Professor Laura Galloway. Olivia Leanne Patterson, Doctor of Audiology. Olivia is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Lindsay Cornell. Rachel Elizabeth Berry, Doctor of Audiology. Rachel is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Shay Morgan. Jessica S. Bergden, Doctor of Philosophy in Anatomical Sciences and Neurobiology. Jessica is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Jennifer Bruckner Collins. Peter Whitney Campbell, Doctor of Philosophy in Anatomical Sciences and Neurobiology. Peter's mentor is Professor William Guido. Peter is joined today by Professor Maureen McCall. Emily Lauren Duderstadt, Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry and Molecular Genetics. Emily is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor David Samuelson. Mesa Biek Sit, Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry and Molecular Genetics. Rumesa is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Brian Clem. Anne Elena Geller, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Anne's faculty mentor is Professor Yun Yan. Anne is joined today by Associate Dean Russell Salter. Anne is a recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. James William Harder, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. James is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Michelle Kozowitz. Christopher Lynn Harding, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Christopher's faculty mentor is Assistant Professor Nathan Schmidt. Christopher is joined today by Associate Professor Pascal Allard. Caitlin Brooks Divers, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Caitlin's co-faculty mentors are Professor James Hoyne and Professor Pascal Allard. Caitlin is joined today by Dr. Pascal Allard. Caitlin is a recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Autumn Town LaPointe, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Autumn is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Kevin Sokolowski. Autumn is a recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Amanda Rose Pulsifer, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Amanda is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Matthew Lorenz. Amanda is the recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Mohammed Roki, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Mohammed is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Donald DeMuth. Mohammed is the recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Andrew Michael Skidmore, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology. Andrew is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Dong-Hoon Chung. Andrew is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Christine Kim, Doctor of Philosophy in Pharmacology and Toxicology. Christine is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Brian Ceresa. Christine is the recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Adrienne Marie Bouchard Sprinkle, Doctor of Philosophy in Pharmacology and Toxicology. Adrienne is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Eleanor Lederer. Desmond Ramon Harold Stewart, Doctor of Philosophy in Pharmacology and Toxicology. Desmond is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Jeffrey Clark. Rubens Petit Ohm, Doctor of Philosophy in Physiology and Biophysics. Rubens' co-faculty mentors are Professor Shirish Tyagi and Assistant Professor Mahavari Singh. Rubens is joined today by Dean Russell Salter. I would now like to invite Marion Hambrick, Interim Dean, Associate Dean of the College of Education and Human Development, to join in congratulating students from his college as we announce candidates for the degree of Doctor of Education and Doctor of Philosophy. Matthew R. Anderson, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Matthew is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Kyle Engel. Jennifer Helm Cox, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Jennifer is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Kyle Engel. Sean Timothy Hines, Jr., Doctor of Education, Educational Leadership, and Organizational Development. Sean is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Kyle Engel. Devin Woodley, Doctor of Education, Educational Leadership, and Organizational Development. Devin is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Kyle Engel. Phanisha McPherson Jones, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Phanisha is joined by co-faculty mentors, Associate Professor Jason Imicus and Professor Kyle Engel. Christopher Kevin Flores, Doctor of Education, Educational Leadership, and Organizational Development. Christopher's co-faculty mentors are Associate Professor Denise Cumberland and Assistant Professor Deborah Powers. Christopher is joined today by Dr. Deborah Powers. Terry Watson Davenport, Doctor of Education, Educational Leadership, and Organizational Development. Terry is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary Bryden Miller. Nicole Michelle Fields, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Nicole is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary Bryden Miller. Robert Stephen Folk, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Robert is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary Bryden Miller. Adam Whitney Hicks, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Adam is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary Bryden Miller. Rajwinder Kaur, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Rajwinder is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary Bryden Miller. Cassandra Gale Woods, Doctor of Education and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Cassandra is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary Bryden Miller. Bridget Maria Burpo, Doctor of Philosophy and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Bridget is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Meg Hancock. Bridget is a recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Chelsea Christine Police, Doctor of Philosophy and Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Chelsea is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Marion Hambrick. Adam Renner Coco, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Adam is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Marion Hambrick. Adam is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Michael James Metz, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Michael is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Jason Amicus. Jessica Rachel Murphy, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Jessica is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Chris Greenwell. Addison McDonald Pond, Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Leadership and Organizational Development. Addison is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Chris Greenwell. Allison Fowler, Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling and Personnel Services. Alice is joined by co-faculty mentors, Professor Jeffrey Valentine and Associate Professor Kate Snyder. Karen Chenway Idago, Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling and Personnel Services. Karen is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Lori McCubbin. Brent Anthony Lubke, Doctor of Philosophy in Counseling and Personnel Services. Brent's faculty mentors, Professor Mark Leach. Brent is joined today by Associate Professor Lori McCubbin. Jonathan Paul Bays, Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction. Jonathan is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor James Chisholm. Catherine Michelle Cooper, Doctor of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction. Catherine is joined by co-faculty mentors, Associate Professor Thomas Simmons and Associate Professor Deborah Botter. I would now like to invite Dr. David Owen, Interim Dean for the College of Arts and Sciences, to join in congratulating students from his college as we announce candidates for the degree of Master of Fine Arts and Doctor of Philosophy. Rashid Tagula, Master of Fine Arts in Studio Art and Design. Rashid is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary Carruthers. Catherine Elizabeth Watts, Master of Fine Arts in Studio Art and Design. Catherine is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Rachel Singal. Jordan Tudor Haggard, Master of Fine Arts in Theater Arts. Jordan is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Jana Siegel. Alexander Gordon, Master of Fine Arts in Theater Arts. Alexander is joined by Jana Siegel. Jennifer Lee Hall, Doctor of Philosophy and Applied Sociology. Jennifer is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Laura Herberly. Eric Andrew Jordan, Doctor of Philosophy and Applied Sociology. Eric's co-faculty mentors are Assistant Professor Melanie Gast and Associate Professor Karen Christopher. Eric is joined today by Professor Karen Christopher. Eric is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Jonathan Carl Holland, Doctor of Philosophy and Applied Sociology. Jonathan is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor David Rolfs. Benad Baisal, Doctor of Philosophy and Biology. Benad is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Sarah Emery. Benad is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Ubanuv Kumar Mariah, Doctor of Philosophy and Biology. Ubanuv is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Sarah Emery. Ubanuv is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Aubrey Ann Mojeski, Doctor of Philosophy and Biology. Aubrey is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Deborah Yoder Himes. Aubrey is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Sarah Hamilton Spalding, Doctor of Philosophy and Biology. Sarah is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Linda Fuselier. Palm Lau Curel, Doctor of Philosophy and Chemistry. Palm is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Francis Zambarini. Maria Faye Charmaine Kino Carvajal, Doctor of Philosophy and Chemistry. Maria Fay is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Richard Wittenbort. Judy Mir Chires, Doctor of Philosophy and Clinical Psychology. Judy's co-faculty mentors are Professor Bernadette Walter and Professor Janet Woodruff Borden. Judy is joined today by Dr. Bernadette Walter. Chelsea Jane Seawick, Doctor of Philosophy and Clinical Psychology. Chelsea is joined by faculty mentor Sandra Sefton. Virginia Elizabeth Braden, Doctor of Philosophy and Criminal Justice. Virginia's faculty mentors Professor George Higgins. Virginia is joined today by Professor Deborah Keeling. Emily Ann Hayden, Doctor of Philosophy and Criminal Justice. Emily's faculty mentors Professor George Higgins. Emily is joined today by Assistant Professor Christian Schwartz. Katie L. Taylor, Doctor of Philosophy and Criminal Justice. Katie is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Christian Schwartz. David Stewart Lapsey, Jr., Doctor of Philosophy and Criminal Justice. David is joined by faculty mentor, Assistant Professor Bradley Campbell. Megan Farrow Boyette, Doctor of Philosophy in English, Rhetoric, and Composition. Megan is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Mary P. Sheridan. Rachel Ann Rodriguez, Doctor of Philosophy in English, Rhetoric, and Composition. Rachel's faculty mentor is Professor Bruce Horner. Rachel is joined today by Assistant Professor Frank Kelderman. Rachel is a recipient of the Graduate Dean's Citation. Kelly Elizabeth Hill, Doctor of Philosophy and Humanities. Kelly's faculty mentor is Professor Deborah Lotz. Kelly is joined today by Associate Professor Simona Bertacco. Daryl Allen Johnson, Doctor of Philosophy and Humanities. Daryl is joined by faculty mentor, Associate Professor Simona Bertacco. Denise Volhop Watkins, Doctor of Philosophy and Humanities. Denise is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Kate Fossel. Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba Nadai, Doctor of Philosophy and Humanities. Sheikh's faculty member is Professor Dismas Masolo. Sheikh is joined by Professor Tyler Fleming. Sheikh is the recipient of the Graduate Dean Citation. Nicholas Courtney McLeod, Doctor of Philosophy and Pan-African Studies. Nicholas joined by co-faculty mentors Tyler Fleming. Shadi Ahmad Mohammed Al-Nana, Doctor of Philosophy and Physics. Shadi's co-faculty mentors are Associate Professor Sherban Samadici and Professor Sergio Mendez. Shadi is joined by Dr. Sergio Mendez. Amin Hassan Atalakachiman, Doctor of Philosophy and Physics. Amin is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Sergio Mendez. Sahar Pishkar, Doctor of Philosophy and Physics. Sahar's co-faculty mentors are Professor Gamini Sumanasakara and Josiah Spurgeon. Sahar is joined today by Dr. Joshua Spurgeon. Ashan Vitarena, Doctor of Philosophy and Physics. Ashan is joined by faculty mentor, Professor Juan Du Keynes. Glyptis Ann Grider Jones, Doctor of Philosophy in Urban and Public Affairs. Glyptis Ann's faculty mentors, Professor David Ambrosio. Glyptis Ann is joined today by Professor Avery Kohlers.
Congratulations to all the graduates. The ceremony is now over, and we offer all our best to all the graduates and those attending. Those still in attendance may exit the stadium as the platform party recessional begins.
you.